Welcome to Tibber is Dead, everyone. My name is Whitney, and welcome to today's speed build. Last week, we finished up with our 7 Sins series, and so this week I thought it would be fun to do brothers based on the 7 virtues, just to kind of counteract the 7 sins that we created. And so on Monday we created all the brothers. Of course, they are all together in one household. I didn't want to do like another full series on this, and so I have this idea too of them like having like a compound or commune type thing. So they each have a small tiny home, and then there's also some larger buildings that have beds and such for people that maybe don't have a place to go. There's greenhouses, there's like a communal kitchen, and then I did the bathrooms outside, even though I could have maybe had them have their own bathroom as well. But that's what we're working with today. I do apologize in advance. This video is a long one, but I personally like to see the whole process, and I didn't want to cut out any more than I did, and so I do apologize that it's a long one, but it is a big build, and I probably could have done it a little bit, like done a little bit more with it. I did this over 2 days, and I probably should have done like 3 days working on it. I should have probably done the outside area and the shells, and then gone in and did like the tiny homes, and then worked on the rest. But I did it over 2 days, and I probably, like I said, could have done more, especially with like the landscaping and such. Overall, though, I'm very, very pleased, especially with the tiny homes themselves. I think they turned out pretty cool, and it was a struggle, but I was able to get the colors that I needed in matching, in the same matching, like swatch, or not swatch, like item is what I meant. But I was able to get the different swatches I needed in that specific item, so all the tiny homes match. And I probably could have individualized it a little bit more and did, you know, it based on each brother. But I like matching, I like some symmetry, and so I really wanted it to match. And that's what I worked with. And here I had to kind of fix the houses because I made them a little bit too long. So I had to fix them so the roof would fit on correctly. And then roofing the long buildings was kind of a nightmare. Like, it did not turn out all that great. I'm not really sure what I could have done different or not. I mean, I could have maybe had like an overhang somewhere, but I really didn't want that for this type of build. And so this is kind of what we're working with here, and you can see right now it looks really, really awkward, so I do put another piece going horizontal, and I maybe could have extended the piece that's going vertical out more so it was wider. That might have helped it not look so weird, but you'll see what I came up with is pretty much just this, and I just kind of adjusted the heights a little bit. So not the prettiest looking roof in the world, but I think it is at least a little bit functional. Like I said, I probably could have extended that middle piece out, and I might actually go in and try that watching this back and see how it looks with that extended out a little bit wider. It might look a little better that way. I'm not entirely sure. All I know is it's an awkward roof, and I don't do well with roofs anyway. So that's the best I could have come up with in this moment, and that's what it is. But yeah, you can see I have the 2 long buildings there are like a communal area, so there's beds. I have 2 private rooms in each of them, which you'll see here coming up. That way, you know, if there's like a mother with a young child or even a father, they can have the private room, and there's like, you know, a toddler seat and a toddler height chair in the private room, so that way they can have a little bit more privacy. And then there's just a bunch of beds and such in the outer area for people to sleep, you know, kind of like some toys for kids, a TV and such, for entertainment. And yeah, you'll see all that here coming up. And then each of the brothers has their own space as well. And for the brothers, I did like a bedroom, living room, and kitchen in each of the tiny homes, but they have to go to the bathroom outside, so I did porta potty type things. Not porta potty, outhouses. That's what I meant. They have outhouses that they go to go to the bathroom, and then they have open air showers. So I didn't give them their own bathroom, but they do have their own kitchen and such. So if they don't feel like, socializing or anything like that, they can have their privacy and have their own kitchen. But a lot of times they probably end up eating out in the communal kitchen anyway. They maybe only use that for like breakfast or something like that. But they might get together with everybody for dinner. Just depending on how they're feeling. But you can see they each have their own color, and I was pretty pleased I was able to find the items I wanted in multiple swatches that I needed. So I was able to, really get the colors I needed for them, but have them kind of very similar and very matching, which I tried to do that as much as possible, and I think I was able to find most of the items I needed. I think like for pink I ended up having to use a white floor because the flooring I went with didn't have a pink swatch. And then for purple, the staircase is like black or dark, like a really, really dark kind of purpley blue. I think it's actually black instead of a purple staircase, just because I wasn't able to find a staircase in purple that matched the rest of the staircases. And so just little things like that I had to tweak here and there, but I was able to get the siding, the windows, the doors all in the colors I needed, and they all matched. So that made me very happy. The layout's a little bit different for each of the buildings. Pretty similar, which you'll see. Like, I do the same style except for in yellow, but I think I did yellow second, and after I did it I was like, oh, that's way too awkward, and so I went back to the first kind of layout I did for purple. I think I did purple first. So the rest of the buildings have that layout, minus, the larger buildings, but the rest of the tiny houses have that layout. And yeah, I really like how it turned out, and like I said, really, really pleased overall. And of course I add little touches here and there for the specific brother that I'm working with. You can see here I'm trying to find flooring that's the same that is in the different colors I need, and it wasn't easy. Paranormal had some of the colors, and then some of the other floorings had some colors but not the rest of them, which was really, really frustrating. And I almost went with different flooring for the different houses, but I like it all being the same. Like, that's my OCD kicking in. I like having that same look to each one. And then fortunately I was able to find foundation that matched the siding, which made me really happy because I often struggle to find foundation that I think looks good. So that makes me really happy. But like I was saying, I was able to add touches based on the different brothers and their personality, which I'll get into once we start working on their houses. But you can see back here we have the bathrooms, so I did them on either side again to kind of make it symmetric. And so you have 2 bathrooms, and then, well, 4 bathrooms total, but 2 bathrooms on each side, and then 1 open shower. And the only thing I would have done different for this shower is I think I do need to go in and fix it for gameplay purposes, because somebody could easily get embarrassed if they see another sim showering. Because I did this front wall, but I didn't take it back one more, and so it's still really kind of open and people can see. In the real world, you'd have like a curtain or something that goes across that, but that's not possible in The Sims. And so I really need to do that extra wall, and I didn't, because I was thinking, well, and then it's just so, cluttered and enclosed. But I really need to for The Sims, but that's what I was working with. And then I put the little shelf with some towels and such for people to use. And I actually put hampers in the bathrooms, and that's because I do have the towels and whatnot. And so they're probably going to be doing quite a bit of laundry. And I do put like a laundry line and like the outdoor laundry wash bucket instead of like a washer and dryer. I don't do that, and so you'll see that here in a little bit as well. And I love those sinks, but the hose on it always throws me off, so I decided to use them in the greenhouses, and then I use these sinks here for the actual bathrooms, and just kind of like a do-it-yourself style which, like I said, I really, really like. And I probably should have taken the floor out. I don't think I put any actual flooring or anything in there. I think I just left it like that, and I probably should have taken that out and had like, like a dirt floor or something like that. That would have fit the theme a little bit better. But I didn't think about that, and I didn't put any actual flooring, so it's just cement, which I guess cement works fine too, especially for the showers. You wouldn't want to shower on dirt, so it's not too bad, I guess. And I do put a little bit of a cover here just to kind of cover where I have my towels and such, and so that way if it rains, the towels aren't getting fully soaked. Still gonna have to be something, if this was a real situation, something they're kind of monitoring and maybe putting towels in as needed, and so that way they don't get all gross. But now we are on to our little stairways, and I was, like I said, fortunate to be able to find the correct colors except for purple, so I go with this dark black color here. But everybody else I was able to get the color I needed, except pink. I think that's more of like a tan color, but it still worked really nicely for that house. So and then the railings, originally I was just kind of going with railings that I liked, but I didn't like how they looked different from each other, so I ended up finding a railing that had the colors I needed, and I was able to kind of put those in as well. But at first I was just like, oh, they can have different railings, and then it's like, no, they can't. It just didn't look right, especially with everything else matching. Like I said, if I had gone with a more of a, individualized style for each house, it would have been fine. But I like the concept of the matching, especially, they probably had a limited amount of supplies, and so they used the supplies they had, and it would have looked very similar throughout. And now I'm putting down my little walkway, and originally I was going to use terrain paint, but I just feel like whenever I use terrain paint, it just looks really messy. And so I ended up using flooring for the walkway, and originally I had it go all the way up to my little communal kitchen, but I actually take that out, and I just have the walkway in the front here going past the communal buildings there, and then it kind of tapers off towards the kitchen, and then I put a couple of like campfires and such there, and then the kitchen itself, it has a dirt floor, so that way they're not having to spend a lot of time cleaning it up. And I did make this lot dog friendly and cat friendly, so they have a lot of strays that come through, and I'm sure the strays are more than happy to help clean up any droppings or anything like that that might happen. And then of course I put like food bowls and such around for the strays, because my one sim loves animals, and he's a caretaker of the animals, so that's kind of what we were working with here. And didn't do too much on the landscaping. As you can see, I did put a little bit around these long buildings and then a bunch of trees about, but past that I didn't really go in depth with the landscaping. I didn't put it around those tiny houses or anything like that, so definitely something I could have done more of, but I kept it really simple. Like I said, this was a big build, and just I get impatient, and I didn't really want to take the time to do a bunch of landscaping. So I just have the trees here, and then some of the bushes leading up, but the rest of it's pretty simple. And then I just use the train tool to kind of blend it in a little bit, and I do go around the houses just because that's a tip I've seen other creators mention multiple times about putting the dirt, under the trees and bushes and such, and then around the houses. So I do go in and do that. At first I was trying to do it the hard way, and, doing it at this angle of the camera, which wasn't very easy, and I finally was like, make it easier on yourself, and I did the camera looking straight down, so I was able to just go straight around them, which you can see I switched here, which made it a whole lot easier. And I wish I had done that sooner. I mean, not so easy for the trees, but I could have done that when I was going around the bathrooms and such. But yeah, pretty pleased with how it turned out. And even the landscaping, it's like I said, very simple and not too complex, but I think I did enough that it's not too bare either. And then I do more terrain paint to do like little pathways leading to each house and the bathrooms and such. So you see I'm doing that right now and just kind of blending it in a little bit more. So I try to make it darker where the pathways are, and then kind of just lightening it up around so it's not quite a stark contrast. Is what I was going for, and I just kind of go in between the buildings and such to kind of lighten that up a little bit. So that's what I'm doing right now. And this is when I decide that I don't want all those floor tiles in there. I didn't like how it looked. And so now I'm going through and deleting them all, which I couldn't do like the where you drag and spread. And I'm not sure if I did that's because I'm on the floor or the actual ground, or if I just didn't do it right. I'm not entirely sure. And so I'm just going through and deleting each one, which was a little bit frustrating, but it it's how it turned out. And it didn't take me too much time. It was, like I said, a little bit more time than I wanted to spend. And then I had to move that a little bit, which actually I think no, it's straight across. I was like looking at it. It's like I actually made that worse, but I think I moved it forward a little bit when it should be one back. But that's okay. Not. I was trying to get them as perfect as possible, but because yeah, you can see the stairs are on the walkway a little bit, where the other one's just off the walkway. So I should have had it slightly back, but oh well, too late now. And so here you can see I did the point of the walkway, and then I decided to do a like full on bonfire there, and then I do some little campfires where people can sit around further in. And then I decided I needed some bees, and I was trying to decide where to put them. And I decided to put them with my orange sim because he's a freelance botanist, and he's a farmer. And so I figured, he would cultivate the bees, he would use the honey for recipes and such, and then he would like the bees because they would help with the plants and whatnot. And so I put him over by my orange sim, and so he's going to be the one kind of taking care of the bees and such. In the end. So, because I debated on where to put them, and I could have put them over by the green sim, who also helps take care of the greenhouses, because he's an outdoor enthusiast, and so he probably is fine with the bees too, and he maybe helps, with the bees somewhat. And then I put the clotheslines here behind the greenhouses. I put a little swing set for any of the kids that might want to swing, something to kind of keep them entertained as people are hanging out or eating. A little gaming table over there. I decided to put this yard sale table up front because I figured my one sim is a master maker, and he probably gives away a lot of his items, but he also probably sells some, and that way they can help with cost of the commune and such. And I did give a couple of them jobs, like the pink sim is a civil engineer, and he's trying to make the world greener, and then my purple sim, he, is an animal lover, so I have a custom content career. Sorry, couldn't think of the word there for a second, but I have a custom content career that allows him to be an animal caretaker, and so I gave him that job. And eventually, if I start playing them and such, I'll probably have him buy the veterinary clinic and run the veterinary clinic, because I definitely need to have one of those in game. And so down the line, that's probably something I'll make him, be in charge of. And so, you take your dog to the vet, and he's gonna be there as well. But yeah, just working a little bit on the greenhouses now, and then the communal kitchen. And so I did these walls, but it has walkways on either side, so you can walk straight through. And then, the greenhouses, I have the different planters. And I actually went in debug, which you'll see at the end, and I put down all the different plants so they're already planted. And I did trees in the front half towards, the long buildings, and then like plants like vegetables and fruits and such in the back half. And so, there's like onions and potatoes, which they would eat a lot of, and things like that. And then here is my little kitchen. So I have the ground cooking pit from Island Living, and then I have a stove on one side and a grill on the other. And then I use these fridge here because they're actually functional off the grid. Even though this building is not off the grid, it made sense to have the fridges that are functional off the grid for the communal kitchen out here, just because I don't see them necessarily having power that goes here. And then I had a bunch of custom content that was like farm related, and so I had that basket there, and the apples are custom content. I have like some packs, the eggs are custom content, of course, and then I have like some sacks of like potatoes and like onions and vegetables and such. And then of course these chickens are custom content that I've had for quite a while. And I didn't find my animated chickens. I probably should have and put them down, but I figure, just having these chickens are perfectly fine. And that of course is outside. My purple sim, because he's also a farmer, but he's a farmer of the animals. And if I was able to have more sims in a household, I would have definitely, done like a goat and a sheep or something, and that way he could have been selling that. But he just does the chickens for eggs, and then he also does, which I think there is a mod, because Claire did it, and she was able to sell the eggs, I'm pretty certain. And I'm not sure if that's with the animated chickens I already have, which again I didn't put in here, or if it's a different mod, but that maybe would have been an option for him as well. But even so, just for imaginative gameplay, he probably sells the eggs, and gets a little bit of money, or they just use them for the communal kitchen, either way. So you can see I'm just putting some chickens and the little chicks around. And I'm not sure ever what to do with that tall one, just because there's not really enough space for the chickens to lay in there. And so I always end up getting rid of it. Or I keep it, but I don't put any chickens in it, and it's just kind of awkward there. So I decided to get rid of it and do a different one. So now we are on to the actual buildings themselves. So first up is humility, which of course overcomes the sin of pride. So his color is violet because that's the color scheme I went for my sin of pride. And his name's Arik. He's good-natured, which means good-natured, humble, and passionate. I made him a friend of the animals. He is a farmer and a dog and cat lover. So that's kind of the theme I was going for. So I kind of wanted like a wholesome, theme, because he is a dog and cat lover. And then this is where I decided to make it a dog and cat hangout. And so that way there would be a bunch of strays, and I was going to put like a bunch of bowls and bedding around for them. And so that's kind of what I'm working with here. And so this is of course his bedroom right here, and just kind of cozy, simple, nothing too fancy for him. He has his bed, of course, and then I was trying to do anything purple, so I did the purple elephant, which he probably loves all animals, so the elephant works just fine. And then just, a dresser and a little place to sit in there. And then in this kind of awkward corner here, I decided to do a little bit of a desk area, a little bookshelf, and then another pet bed and some bowls. And of course, he has the pet bed in the room as well. And then a little living room area here. And at first I wasn't going to do a kitchen inside the tiny homes, but I had more empty space. And I was debating whether I wanted to do like a little bathroom area for them, or I wanted to do a kitchen area. And a kitchen area just made more sense, and so that's what I went with. And then I have a bunch of different custom content paintings with animals and such. And so anything that had animals, especially if it was purple at all, I put it up, but it didn't necessarily have to be purple. And dogs, cats, whatever. He loves them all, like I said. And so this is his little living area, and then this is when I decided to do a little kitchen area as well. And so I end up getting rid of those windows right there, and I do that in all the houses, so I kick those windows out, just because it was, one, it was hindering the kitchen, and two, there was a lot of windows in this build, and so I figured, they didn't need all those windows. So I got rid of them and just the basics in the kitchen. And I do forget a trash can, but when I'm doing one of the other tiny homes, I realized I forgot a trash can, so I go back in and put that in as well. But just a couple more pet beds. Like I said, he would have pet beds everywhere. He would let the strays in, and he does adopt a dog as well. So, and now we are on to my yellow sim, which is generosity, which overcomes the sin of greed. So his name is Falco, which means a versatile, desirable, and generous human being. He's a master maker. I gave him the maker trait, recycle disciple, and freegan trait. So he likes to reuse things and make new things as much as possible. Like, he doesn't really like to buy anything. And so this is his build. And like I said, I did it this way and it was a bit awkward. And so this is the only build that has this layout. And I do need to go in and playtest this one a little bit more because I don't know that I tested it to see if he could get into the bedroom or use the fabricator, because you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. It's kind of a tight squeeze, and so I do need to go in and play test it a little bit more, but I try to use a lot of stuff that looked like he built it. So the dresser, bookshelf not so much, but the dresser looks, hand built. The bed definitely could be. Those tables I think are from Eco Lifestyle, things like that. And so really try to, make it look as wholesome as possible here. I put the woodworking table outside. He has the candle maker inside, and then I put the fabricator inside as well. And I do put the recycling bin out there. And I gave him the bike initially, but I do go back and they each have their own bike in their specific color, so that's kind of nice. And then over here is the kitchen on this side, which at this point I hadn't taken out all the windows yet. And then when I'm putting up, I think, the cabinets, I realized how it looked, and so I ended up taking out the windows, and then I go through and take them out for everybody. But this is a little living room area, and so this is what I mean. It gets very, very tight squeeze here, and I think he can get to the bedroom by going around the coffee table and into the bedroom, but again, I'm not entirely sure he can use the fabricator or not, so I do need to test it. And he actually doesn't have a TV, he just has a bookshelf. Again, I don't see him being that commercialized, and so he probably really doesn't watch a whole lot of TV or anything like that. And he can always go, into the communal buildings or over to his brother's if he wants to watch a show or something. But I see him being more of a book reader, and probably reading things on how to make stuff, and not spending a whole lot of time worrying about watching TV or playing games or anything. So he doesn't have that in his house. But like I said, I'm not entirely sure he can use that fabricator. And just running through and pulling those windows now while I was thinking about it, and then again, that way they're kind of even. And so now we are on to my red sim, which is meekness, and that overcomes the sin of anger. His name is Mirren. He's a person, which means a person with patience, or a calm person. He is a friend of the world. He's cheerful, good, and a vegetarian. And so for him, I see him wanting to socialize and such. So I actually give him like a fuller dining room table. I wanted to do a full one, but it just didn't quite fit right. But I do give him a full like 4-seat dining room table, and then I put a chess table and this gaming table in there as well. So he probably likes to host like game nights, and just he's very cheerful and likes to socialize with people and such. And so that's what I was going for here. You can see with like the games, and then he does have like a TV. And this is where I went back in and put in the bins because I realized I forgot them. And so yeah, here you can see I'm trying to do a full dining room table, which would have been fine, but it didn't give me a lot of room for a living room. And so I ended up scrapping that and in order to do a living room. And like I said, I see him enjoying socializing and such. So he probably invites, his brothers over for like movie nights, or, to play games or anything like that. He's probably really into that. So that's what I was working with here. And then he has his little bedroom, and the bedroom I actually did play test, and he got stuck over in that corner because I do this bookshelf, and then he has his dresser and the desk right there, and it ended up being too tight. He got in there, but he got behind. He went to the other side. I think I had him on his computer, and then he jumped to the other side, and he couldn't get back out. So I definitely had to play with that a little bit and fix it. And I can't remember if I keep that bookshelf or if I end up going with a smaller one, but I do end up fixing that when I was playtesting, so it wasn't quite right. And then he probably doesn't drink a whole lot. None of them do, but he's probably a little bit more free about that than his brothers, and so I did give him a little, drink display there, which he probably keeps some, and it's probably not all alcoholic drinks either, just drinks in general for socializing and whatnot. And then just a few decorations, but I really like him, and I think his house is pretty cute. And now we are on to my pink sim, which is Chastity, that overcomes the sin of lust. His name is Hermat, and it means chastity or something sacred. And then he is an eco-innovator. He's unflirty, he's a green fiend, and he's a loner. And if you didn't see Monday's video, I gave him those traits because I just felt like he probably really cares about the planet and has seen what overpopulation can or has done to the planet, and so he's not interested in contributing to that or anything like that. Like, he does not want kids, and he's really interested in cleaning up the planet, making it greener, and things like that. And so this is his build. He has the little kitchen, a little bit awkward with that window. I should have done the layout a little bit different like I've been doing the other ones. He does have a small TV, but nothing too fancy. Bookshelf, of course, and I kind of gave him some similar things that I gave to my yellow sim. So he does have a fabricator, and then he does have a recycler outside as well. And this is where I went in and gave them all their bicycles, because I decided I like the idea of them having their bikes. But yeah, so he has a fabricator. It's in red because there wasn't a pink option, so I figured that was the closest. And then for him, I do put some solar panels and some windmills around. And originally I was putting the solar panels over here, but then I moved a windmill over here, and I realized it was sunnier over there, so I decided to move the solar panels over there. And then, of course, a water catching thing, and just anything that I thought might work for an eco-innovator. And I debated about doing like an anti-fizzing station for them and such, but in the end I decided not to. And then this is his bedroom here. Nothing too fancy again. I think I used a lot of eco lifestyle in all these builds, but I really like eco lifestyle for this group in particular, just because, like I said, they are very humble and caring and worried about the planet and such. So that's kind of the overall theme I was going with for here. And then a little chair, which is just solo. He probably doesn't socialize too much. Just a bookshelf and a little computer desk. Very, very simple, very humble looking again. Like I said, he is one of my favorite Sims. If you haven't seen Monday's video, definitely check it out. I think my purple sim, this sim, and then my blue sim are my top 3 favorites. I'm not really sure who I like more, but I definitely really enjoyed creating all these guys and had a lot of fun once I got down to their individual homes. It wasn't so fun in the beginning, but once I got down to their individual homes, it was fun. So I probably should have switched out that window or something. It's bugging me looking back at it now, and I didn't even realize I did that when I was doing the build. And he actually has 2 bookshelves in his house, so probably could have gotten rid of the one in his bedroom, and that would have given him a little bit more room, but that's okay. And then just some rugs, of course. I always gotta have the rugs. I always have to go back in and add them because I tend to forget a little bit. But that is my pink Sims house. Just doing a quick save here. And now we are on to my green Sim, which is kindness, and that overcomes the sin of envy. His name is Haridi, which means in the heart, in the soul, a kind and compassionate person. I gave him the outdoor enthusiast trait. He's a vegetarian, he's sweet, and he's proper. And I did that, he could have been a friend to the animals, definitely, but I'd already given that trait to the other Sim. And for him, I just think he's so kind. Like, he's the kind of person that his kindness extends to everything, including, plants and trees and, just everything, not just people and not just animals. Like, he is so kind. It extends to, like, the whole planet. And so that's why I gave him the outdoor enthusiast. Like, he really likes, different plants and learning about them and caring for, like, flowers and things like that. So that's the trait I gave him. And then, like I said, he does help with the greenhouse on this side. He's kind of in charge of that. And he really enjoys that. And then he is a vegetarian. Not saying that people, like, I eat meat, and I'm not saying that I'm not kind, but I think it hurts his heart too much. And so he doesn't eat meat or anything like that either. And then this is his little kitchen. And realized I forgot a bin over there, so I had to jump back. Kind of a trending theme here for sure. And then he has his little living room area on the other side there as well. And I actually really like how his little house turned out. I like them all in different ways, but green's normally not one of my favorite colors. And I don't know, there's something very pleasing about this build, and I really like it. So that's his little corner of the world, and I'm gonna work on his little living room. And I put a ton of plants around, and then I put this little area. He has a frog. He has one of those bug catcher things back there as well. And then I just put a bunch of different plants over there. And so he's very plant heavy. Like, it brings him a lot of joy to have the plants. And then I put some chairs, kind of a tight fit, but they can still get around there, no problem. And you gotta do what you have to do when you live in a small area like this. So just putting some more plants on that little shelf back there. I thought that was really important. And yeah, nothing too crazy. And then I do give him a little computer desk and such over in that empty space right there. And then I just put some pictures of plants around too. Like I said, the more plants the better in this build, whether it's pictures or it's actual living plants. And then he has his little frog and his little insect over there as well, which he probably caught. Maybe they were injured or something, because I don't really see him taking anything from the environment unless it was injured and needed help. And now, we are on to my orange Sim, which is temperance, and that overcomes the sin of gluttony. And so his name is Dama, which means control of the senses or self-control. And he's a freelance botanist, he's a perfectionist, he's a foodie, and he's a farmer. So I kind of struggled with this Sim a little bit, and I decided, well, the foodie trait is incompatible with the gluttony trait, one, and I decided to make him a farmer and such. This is when I was on the second day, so I had to redo my cheats, but I decided to give him farmer because he puts a lot of effort into his food. So unlike gluttony, who just wants to eat and doesn't care about putting effort or anything like that, he does. And so, he grows his food and he makes sure it's grown like a high quality food, and then he spends a lot of time with recipes and cooking them and kind of perfecting the recipes. Like, he cares about the quality of food, not only growing it but also cooking it. And so that's why I gave him the perfectionist trait. And then heavily food themed, just kind of in a different way from gluttony. And so you'll see a lot of the pictures, have food and such on there as well. And then his little room's pretty basic, a desk and then his little dresser, and just a bed over there. But I really like how his room turned out as well. And then he of course has his kitchen, and I had some custom content pieces that I think worked really well for his kitchen. So I did like a food scale, and then I had like some garlic sitting out. Um, what else did I do? I think some apples in here as well. Of course, fruit. I put bowls of fruit around a lot. Those might be onions. I can't tell if they're garlic or onions from here, but yeah, I put those out to he adds a lot of care, and so he adds a lot of different flavors and such to his food. It's not just about the eating for him. He really enjoys the whole process of everything, and then even wine. He probably uses that to cook. Unlike Gluttony, who just drinks, like she has little bars everywhere, and she just drinks. And then the small dining room over here as well, dining room table for him to eat. And then over here we have the living room area, which I actually think I moved that. I'm trying to remember if I moved that or not. Okay, I do. I was like, I think I move it. I don't remember it staying there. So yeah, I move it, and then this little corner just has like a plant behind there. And just a small TV. Again, nothing fancy for any of these guys. It's very, very basic for all of them. And then I think I moved the table over here. I was like gonna say, and I put like a radio or something in that corner where the dining room table originally was. And I do layer the rugs there, which I normally don't layer rugs, but in this instance, I thought it worked, and so I do layer the two rugs. But yeah, he has this little stereo over there, and then I put the food pitcher right above the dining room table, some salt and pepper, and just anything that I thought worked for the sim. And I actually go back in as I'm working on one of the other sims. I go back in, or the last sim, I guess. I go back in and I give him like the olive oil thing that you can hang on the wall. I thought that was pretty fitting for him as well. And so you'll see I'll jump back in here as I'm working on the other one. And then I had that cutting board. So just little aspects like that. And now we are on to my last sim, which is diligence, and that overcomes the sin of sloth. So Ithrin means remaining, searching out diligently. You can talk. And he's a bodybuilder. He's active, adventurous, and outgoing. And so I give him a lot of active things. So I put like a treadmill in here. I give him a basketball hoop outside, just anything that I thought worked. And then a lot of like the snowy escape stuff came in handy for him as well. I think his bedroom's smaller than the other ones. I didn't go out quite as far for some reason, and so he has a tiny living dresser, the little basketball jersey hung up. Anything that made me think like outdoors and active, I kind of put up for him. And so, those little snowboard things. I do the ski coat rack, like just anything. And I was going to do that, but then I thought what was written on it didn't really fit. So I ended up putting this other board that just has, different like little pictures and such, maybe places he's gone adventuring in or something like that. And then this is a little seating area, and where he watches TV, and he probably is really into like, I think see him so much as like a sporty guy, more like adventures. So he maybe watches like Bear Grylls or skiing or extreme sports, not just like the normal. He probably enjoys like basketball and football and such, but they're not everything to him, if that makes sense. He likes a lot more than that. Surfing, skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling, anything like that he's probably really into. And then of course his little kitchen is over here as well, which I like this one. I like the blue color. I think it looks really, really pretty, especially with the black. And so I was putting that in there. And just little touches here and there. And I think I put like a basketball. I put the soccer ball down. I do, like I said, put a treadmill in here as well. I managed to have just enough space to put a treadmill which you'll see here in a second. And outside I put a punching bag, and I put the basketball hoop, which I think I already said. Um, and yeah, just a little anything that active. And he probably, maybe encourages others to, he invites them to go for runs or go bike riding or whatever the case may be. Like, he's really encouraging people to be active and fit. And I can't remember, I think I might have given him a career. I gave a career to a couple of them, and I think I gave him the career of, I have another custom content one where they can be like a fitness instructor, and I think I might have given him that career, and that way he's helping earn money while doing something that he loves as well. But I can't remember if I did or not. So definitely, definitely something I'll have to go in and see what I did there. But yeah, I think this is really cool. And I don't know the basketball hoop being there. I probably should have switched the punching bag and the basketball hoop, because if it bounces off and hits the greenhouse, that's kind of dangerous. But again, it's The Sims. That's not going to happen. So I don't think I need to worry about it overly much. And now I'm going to jump back into the communal kitchen here before going into the long buildings. And so this is a little area. I did 5 of the picnic tables. That way it's still easy for people to kind of get around them, and there's plenty of space for everybody. And then in these buildings, this is where I'm putting the back 2 private rooms, which I thought was important if somebody has like a young child and they maybe need a little bit more privacy than somebody else. There's 4 total rooms for that to happen. Not necessarily for a couple though, so if there is a man and a woman couple that have a baby, the man or the woman's probably going to have to sleep out in the communal area while the other parent and the baby takes the bedroom, because there wasn't a whole lot of space and I kept it pretty simple. And now I'm going to be doing a lot of back and forth because I did the same layout and everything for each of the rooms, and so I just jumping back and forth, placing things down, things like that. I put porta potty, or not the porta potties, the outhouses. I put 2 of the little potty training chairs in there on either side, so you have those in there. I didn't put them in every outhouse because I just didn't feel like it. So I just put 1 on each side, and then the other 2 potty chairs goes in the private room there. And then, like I said, I have a little kid area here. So a couple toy boxes. Blarfy, is that Blarfy or is that a different one? But anyway, the stuffed animal they can talk to, the eco lifestyle dollhouse, which I absolutely love, a couple of craft tables, things like that. And so nothing too fancy, but the kids do have things to entertain themselves as well. And then jumping back over. So like I said, a lot of back and forth in this section because I was just doing the same thing for both sides. So I was just going back and forth, and that way I can make it match pretty well. And then the beds, I put them, like this, and so they're sleeping in close quarters for sure, but hey, at least you have a place to sleep. And I actually have a homeless shelter in this save file as well, and so there's 2 places. They can come here to the commune for like longer term living, or they could go to the homeless shelter, just for short term. So kind of, 2 different places that the Sims have options to go. And actually, once I get the save file up and going, I really want to do a rags to riches story, because I do have the opportunity, to use both these areas, this area and the homeless shelter, which I think will make it a lot easier on whatever sim I'm using for the rags to riches. And then I did put a little kitchenette in each of these, so they just have a small fridge, which probably just has like drinks in it, and maybe some snacks, but nothing too fancy. And then a little microwave and a coffee maker. But for actual meals, they would go to the community kitchen in the center. So just some rugs. I thought about putting side tables, but I couldn't really put them for the one set of beds, and so I decided not to put them at all. and then I put a couple of chairs in here, which I actually forget to do on the other side. So one side has chairs and the other side doesn't. But I figure, if it was a real mother, they would be sitting and feeding their toddler or whatever. So I do need to go back in and add it to the other side. And then this is some of the custom content pieces I had. Some of the bags of potatoes and onions and such. And then, some pieces from the game itself as well. I was trying to find the caddy, the garden caddy, and I was just having a heck of a time finding it. And I actually found it when I was looking for something else. I managed to find it, so I was able to put it down, but I was getting frustrated because I couldn't remember what it was called, and I've used it in several of my builds and such, but I just could not find it today, probably because I really wanted it. Normally I just come across it and it's like, oh yeah, that will work, and I put it down, where today I couldn't find it. And then this I decided worked perfect to go outside my green sims, since he's a free, he loves the outdoors and such, so I put that over there. And then that's when I was able to find the caddy here in a second. I put some toys down for the buildings, just to add, that child friendly, and then finally came across the caddy. And now we are in debug. Well, as I've just typed in apple tree, because I know they actually have the names, and I knew I'd be able to find the rest of them. So at first I'm just working in this greenhouse, and then I decided, that's a lot of trees, and so I decided to move some of the trees over to the other side, and so have trees in the front here, and then do the rest of the vegetables and such in the back. And like I said, I focused on like bulk vegetables, so I did a lot of onion and a lot of potato, and I did some tomato and strawberry and such, bell pepper, anything that you kind of bulk up, carrots, things like that. And so I didn't have a lot of room for everything that they have to offer. So I kind of picked and chose what I thought would work well for like a communal kitchen. But now we are on through to our walkthrough, and of course I add the screenshots at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was long, and I know I was kind of stuttering. Excuse the mailbox there. That is one thing I do need to work on, because I always forget to put the mailbox out, and then it ends up showing up randomly in my build, so something I need to work on. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this build. It was a process, but I think it turned out pretty cool, and I can't wait to go in and play in my game and have this build to go to. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, what you might have done different, or things you thought I did well. Just anything overall, any feedback is greatly appreciated. Like I said, I'm trying to get better. There's one of the stray dogs there, and yeah, pretty pleased with how this turned out. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Next week we are starting on my Zodiac series, which I am super excited to get started on. I know Claire just did hers, and I'm not doing it the same as her at all. I actually had the idea to do the Zodiac series before she did hers, and I kind of liked watching her process and what she came up with. Mine is going to be a little bit more realistic, and I'm actually going to do the different Zodiacs each month. So this month, of course, is Aries coming up, and so I'm going to be doing that, and then I'm actually going to be doing a combination of the Western Zodiac and the Chinese Zodiac for each video, and then the in-between weeks between when the next Zodiac comes, I'm going to be doing primal zodiacs, so that combines your Western and your Chinese zodiac. So definitely, if you haven't already, please subscribe, please hit the bell notification, and that way you are notified when I do upload, because I'm really excited to get started on the different zodiacs, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's it for today. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all on Monday. Bye!